So I'm going to open up Paint Shop Pro here. I just downloaded this. This is a trial. I figured most people out there are not going to have Photoshop because it's incredibly expensive, even the student version. Uh, but this is a bit more affordable and it still gets the same job done. I'm going to open up a new one, and this part's probably one of the two most important parts. You want the dimensions to be correct. They can be a power of 2, so we're talking 128 by 128, or 512 by 512, that kind of stuff. I usually use 512 by 512 pixels. If they're anything else, uh, there might be different other accepted specific sizes, but if you don't put it like this, usually you're going to get an error from Tool when it tries to build your pictures, and you won't be able to use those textures. So just remember to set this up correctly. Everything else here is actually pretty good. So we're going to go OK. I'm going to have our square here. And I'm not the best artist in the world, so let's just choose some stuff here. I also have never used Paint Shop Pro before because I actually do use Photoshop. So this is going to be new for us all. Uh, let's make this some sort of ground texture. So, yeah. And we'll call this, actually, let's mark it something so we'll know. So I'm going to mark this one as A. Now when I go to save it, you want to save it as a TIF, tagged image file format, or TIFF. I'm just going to call this A as well. So we'll save it. Now go over to your Halo directory, create a folder for your level. Let's call this many textures. Or how about just MT? So I don't have to type a bunch of stuff in a lot. Create another new folder. We're going to call this one bitmaps. And while we're here, let's go ahead and create another new folder called models. Remember, models is where you save the JMS file like we did for our level in lesson 1. So now we're just creating an additional folder called bitmaps. Beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and speed through and create all the other textures. We're looking at about A through V. So I'm going to go ahead and speed that up. Okay, we now have all these textures done. So let's go back into 3D Studio Max and start applying them. This is also going to be sped up a bit because there's also a lot of tedium involved in this. Just remember though, every time you're going to click this box right next to the fuse, make sure it's bitmap. And I'm going to go ahead and go to our bitmaps directory and select something appropriate. Don't worry if it's ugly right now. You can see the A is not really showing up correctly. Uh, we're gonna fix all of that kind of stuff in a moment. So none, standard, name it something, box, bitmap, and pick your texture. That's the procedure for each and every one of the textures you're gonna add. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're also gonna need one picture for the wall. So let's go ahead and make that. in keeping with the theme here, let's just choose this green right here and just make some sort of wall. Like I said, paint shop is not my preferred method, and this is my first time using it, so I'm just going to stuff like paintbrush and colors right here. Uh, if you're a better artist than I am, and that's pretty easy, you probably are, probably figure out this program as well, uh, and do something really fancy with it with your textures. But for now, let's call this good. But this is about the best I'm gonna get with it. Okay, so we're just gonna save this ugly green panel texture. We're gonna also give it some kind of purposeful name like wall. They don't have to match your uh, names here. Like I said, I put wall there, but this is walls. Just make sure to name them something you're gonna remember. And there we go. Best level ever. At least a lot more interesting than the white boxes we made in lesson 1, right? But of course, you noticed, I noticed that our letters are not showing up on these squares. It still looks pretty ugly even if we had better texture. So that's not a mistake. It is missing one more crucial part.